The night air was crisp and quiet as a mother and her daughter returned home from ballet class. Their laughter danced through the empty street, a warm reprieve from the encroaching chill. Once inside, the little girl darted upstairs, eager to lose herself in the world of her toys, while her mother stayed downstairs, humming a gentle tune as she unpacked groceries. "Dinner's ready," her mother called moments later. The girl ran to the top of the stairs, her excitement fading into hesitation. From the corner of her eye, she noticed something at the far end of the hallway, a sliver of long, dark hair peeking from around the corner. It looked like her mother's, but why would her mother be upstairs? Her heart gave a nervous flutter. "I'm just imagining things," she whispered to herself, and hurried down to eat. Dinner was uneventful, but strange. Her mother, usually full of energy and conversation, was eerily quiet, her movements robotic. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. The girl pushed her mashed potatoes around her plate, her appetite soured by a growing sense of unease. That night, her mother tucked her in as usual. Leaning close, she whispered, "Good night, my darling." But her voice carried a sharpness that felt foreign. The girl froze as her mother kissed her forehead and turned off the lights. Lying in bed, she tried to push away the gnawing fear, but her mind kept replaying the moment at the hallway. She squeezed her eyes shut and forced herself to think of happy things. Then she heard it, a faint whisper, as if someone was standing just outside her door. She must already be asleep. The girl's breath hitched, her body paralyzed with fear. Slowly, she turned her head toward the door, which was slightly ajar. Nothing. Minutes passed, and the house fell silent again. Then her mother's voice called from downstairs. "Sweetheart, come here. I need you." The girl's chest tightened. Why would her mother call her so late? The voice sounded calm, but there was something off about it, something that made her stomach churn. She tiptoed to her door and peeked into the hallway. "Mom?" she whispered. The house answered with silence. Cautiously, she crept to the top of the stairs. Just as she was about to descend, a hand grabbed her wrist. She turned quickly, expecting to see her mother, but what she saw sent chills through her veins. Her mother stood there, wide-eyed and trembling. "Don't go down there," she hissed, her voice barely above a whisper. I heard it too. The girl's legs nearly buckled beneath her as she stared at her mother. "But you called me," she stammered. Her mother shook her head frantically. "That wasn't me." The two retreated into the girl's bedroom, locking the door behind them. They sat together on the bed, their ears straining for any sound. The house creaked and groaned with the usual noises of the night, but every now and then they heard faint footsteps and a soft knock on the door. "Don't answer," her mother whispered, clutching her tightly. Hours passed, and the house grew quiet again. The girl began to relax, leaning against her mother for comfort, but when she finally looked up, her mother wasn't there. Confused, she called out, "Mom?" A scraping noise came from beneath the bed. Heart pounding, the girl leaned over the edge. Beneath the bed, she saw her mother's lifeless body. Her glassy eyes stared back at her, and her lips were frozen in a grotesque, twisted expression. Blood pooled around her, and carved into the floor beside her were the words, "Why didn't you listen?" The girl scrambled back, her scream caught in her throat. She turned toward the door as it creaked open slowly. Standing in the doorway was her mother, or at least something that looked like her. Its face was unnervingly perfect, like a porcelain doll, but its eyes were empty voids. It smiled, a chilling, too-wide grin that stretched impossibly across its face. "Sweetheart," it said in her mother's voice, "come give me a hug." The girl froze, too terrified to move. Behind the creature, a shadowy figure emerged from the hallway, its form shifting and grotesque. It lunged at the imitation mother, snarling like an animal. The two figures clashed, their inhuman wails filling the house as they fought. The girl took her chance and ran, bolting down the stairs and out into the freezing night. She didn't stop until she reached her neighbor's house, tears streaming down her face. The police arrived soon after, but the house was empty. There were no bodies, no blood, only the carved message under her bed. The only other clue was a single mirror in the hallway, shattered into jagged fragments. And etched into the largest shard were the words, "It's still watching." The girl never returned to that house, but she couldn't escape the nightmares. She always wondered, was the thing under her bed truly gone? Or was it still watching her, waiting for the perfect moment to strike?